but that's not the case. That was a clip from a movie that is called Come to Daddy. And a citizen, I sound funny even saying that, come to daddy.
How's that feel?
It felt great. I've said it before under different circumstances. But our two guests here, really special people. One of them is already both of them I found out are citizens of Sway in the Morning. DB, you want to do the honor?
Okay, well, Elijah, he's been here several times. I mean, I've done intros for him several times. He's a horror fan just like I am.
Yeah,
which
dude.
is why we're Freddy Krueger.
Very nice.
We got a quiz for that later on also.
Right.
But, I mean, you're a great horror film, and you star in this film, Come to Daddy. You play Norval. Great. We're going to talk about that. But Timpson, if you don't know this name, this guy did a film called ABCs of Death. And if you haven't checked out that film and you're a horror fan, it's a must-watch. You have to see it. And you got to watch this film, Come to Daddy. Please welcome Elijah Wood and Timpson here.
Hey, hello. Man, these guys, man. Elijah, how you been?
Really well.
You doing well? You doing really well? I was watching this movie, and I was texting DB like, "What the fuck am I watching, bro? Like, why am I watching? Should I watch it to the end?" And then I really got your acting. One of the things I told DB is Elijah's acting has reached a whole nother dimension to me, because as well as I feel like I know you well, man. I've known you for years through MTV, through this. When you play characters, when you play this character, Norval, I don't see you at all.
Whoa, that's great.
Yeah, and
wow, thank you.
And then I'm the type of person, if I could guess the plot of the movie, I'm out of there. And I like to try to guess the plot of the movie. And I couldn't figure out what was going to happen from one scene to the next. And to people listening, the extremities of the scenarios that you will encounter in this movie are so crazy, but for some reason, they're still believable to me. Yeah. Like this can actually happen.
Yeah.
And the story was actually based around your real life experience in your life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell the plot of the movie real quick, and then let's see if people could grab hold.
Well, I'll tell you the background of it. So my dad dies.
Okay.
And the part of this grieving process, his partner thought, like, it'd be cool to maybe you kids spend time with the body and go through, like, this process and just be with your dad. And I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds weird, but let's do it. But what happened is my other siblings had got kind of busy, and they were like, they had their lives and things. So I most of the time I spent in his house alone with the body for like 5 days. And the days were kind of good, and he was there in this coffin sitting in the living room. And then at night I would be like wearing his pajamas, smelling his clothes, and then going down and trying to talk to him, because you see it in the films, right? You go down, you always have these big heart-to-hearts with your dead parent.
Well, not everybody.
Not everybody.
But you did.
That's what I thought I was going to do, but I didn't. And there's all these sort of unanswered questions that sons have with their fathers, and then during the day, later in the week, like strangers came to pay respect, and there was like people I knew, but then there's also dudes that was like, who are you? And then they talked about my dad, and there was like an alternate history of this whole life that when he was young that I didn't know anything about, and I was like, man. He's a bad dude, like a great, like cool, like he did so many great things. And so I was, in my warped perception of the whole thing at night, I started having these dreams like, what if he was this guy? And so then weeks after that, I just thought, like, I want to make something permanent to respect my dad, like a movie, because I started off directing, then I went producing for a long time, and I thought, I've got to make something. I've got to get back to what I loved, which was filmmaking. So I used that, and I thought, this is kind of cool structure of an idea. I'm going to write to a writer that I worked with on The Greasy Strangler and say, this is the skeleton of an idea. What do you reckon? Should we expand it to a script? And he was like, dude, this is great. I'm going to go. And he went away and came back pretty quickly with a first draft of what it is. It's about a father-son reunion in a very isolated cabin. He gets a letter. The son gets a letter after 30 years, and then things start going awry.
Things go south.
Things go south fast.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. When you first read the script, what was it about it that made you want to do it?
Oh, it was a variety of things. Ant and I have known each other for years, and we worked together as producers on The Greasy Strangler. And so when I got the email from him that he was going to direct this film that was loosely based on his own life, that a mutual friend, Toby Harvard, wrote the script, there was already this sort of interest in wanting to support Ant in his directorial debut, and then I read the script, and it was just so incredible. Like, it starts off being one thing, and it constantly, like you experience watching the movie, it keeps subverting your expectations. You never know where it's going to go, and it's always shocking and surprising and really funny. But at the core, there is this through line of an emotional story of a son reuniting with his father and trying to reunite with his father. That really resonated with me as well. So I just loved the entire thing. I'd never really read anything quite like it.
Yeah. What was your relationship with your father?
Well, my parents were divorced when I was 15.
Okay.
15, 16. My dad stayed in LA for a bit and then moved back to Iowa where I was born. And so, for 15 years or something like that, I was estranged from my dad.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him. And then over the last, I'd say 5 years, reconnected, and there's somewhat of a relationship there, and I've reconnected with a great deal of family on that side of my family, with my grandmother and aunts and uncles and stuff as well. So it's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good thing you reconnected with your dad before he got poked with a pen that had feces on it. Shit out of his wound. That's one of the scenes in the movie. I don't know what the hell came up with that. I thought it was funny because your character, even in the front of the movie, was when he first reunited with his dad and shows up at the door and says, "I got your letter." And well, man, he thinks it's his dad, at least. I don't want to tell too much of the movie. And then when they're sitting around the fire later on in the night, and your dad is asking you, "So what is it that you're doing?" You're like, "Oh, I'm kind of a big deal, man."
Yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes in the film.
That's my favorite scene.
Well, look, I mean, the character of Norval is he's a we can ascertain that he's a somewhat successful musician, maybe a DJ, a little bit of a douchebag. His personal style is a little extreme. So we have these sort of preconceived notions about him, and in that particular scene, it's really the one scene in the movie where he flexes a little bit, like, this is who I am, trying to impress his dad. And it's just awful and embarrassing. And he makes up this whole story that's ultimately a lie, and he gets called out on that lie in a really, really brutal way. It's very uncomfortable, and it was a lot of fun to shoot that scene.
Who wrote that particular dialogue about... yeah, man, we could say that I know Kendrick Lamar and I know Chance the Rapper. And did you write that?
I put those names in the Lord thing because of the Kiwi connection as well. But Toby wrote the Elton John sequence, and it was a lot shorter in the shooting script. But then we went back to an early draft, and
we need to make this.
And I was like, let's put more lines about, I do blazing beats, and I tinkle the ivories, and so we just kept adding more douchery to the monologue.
Yeah,
that he does.
It's funny. Norval got scaled back a little bit in the shooting script, and then when we got to the location, we started throwing a little bit of that back in to just kind of expand his douchiness a little.
But there's a deeper part to that scene where he basically wants to show his father that he did make something of himself.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people think. If you don't know your parents and you do reconnect with them, you want to be like, look what I've become. Look what I've done with my life.
What have I accomplished?
Right. And you want that approval for them to be like, wow, I'm really proud of you.
Of course.
And so that's kind of like the other part of that scene.
It does come from a good place. You're right. I mean, I think anybody in that situation would want to express who they are to their long-lost father, and that's essentially what he's doing. It's just not in the most graceful way.
And Timpson is here. Elijah Wood. Come to Daddy is playing now during the Tribeca Film Festival. Is this what I know? None of us like titles or categories and all that stuff, but is this as an alternative horror film, or what would you?
I haven't been calling it a horror. Yeah, I think it's a thriller with dark comedic moments.
Yeah, it's a dark comedy.
A dark comedy.
It's very dark.
Okay.
Emphasis on dark.
Black comedy.
Yeah. So
I'm so desensitized though when people see these kinds of films that we've made. It's always shocking to me the way that people react, because I'm so used to seeing pretty extreme content that's way worse than this. Exactly. So that people would sort of be struck by the content in the movie. It always surprises me. I'm too close to it.
You too close? Because what is that item that what do you call that object that?
Oh, the paper spike.
Yeah,
the paper.
You desensitized to a paper spike being stuck in somebody's brain.
Yeah.
Wow.
That happens.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That didn't move you one.
You watch enough horror movies.
Please, you can watch Cannibal Holocaust and see plenty of really fucked up stuff on screen compared to what this movie shows.
Oh God, yeah.
This is rom
No,
com.
you guys are fucked up. Is what it is.
No, no.
Because I'm wondering, when was the last time like you saw a visual that left you disturbed?
Ooh, you know what? I'm honestly,
like-
I'm honestly more disturbed by things that feel a little bit more real. There's a movie out of, I think it was a Polish film called Playground. Did you see Playground?
Oh, yeah.
Playground is a movie that was based on. Do you remember? It was a number of years ago. There was a young boy that was taken by two slightly older boys out of a shopping mall.
Oh.
They took him away from his parents, and then they beat him to death.
Okay.
Horrendous. A really horrendous case of kids killing a young kid. This movie examines that and portrays that. It was shot in Poland, but it's the same basic story. And there's that violence is at the end of the movie, and it's the most disturbing, hard thing to watch. That I find more difficult and unsettling and hard to stomach because it's so real than horror movies. Horror movies, there's a slight disconnect between reality, even things that I don't know are a little bit more believable in terms of their violence. I find them less effective to me because it's couched within the context of something that's slightly fantastical.
Got you.
But something that's real and visceral, I find that harder, especially violence against children and animals.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Ant? What scares you?
My kid's bedroom.
I'm dead.
That scares you? We're going to open up these phone lines, 888-742-3345.
His kids are the best.
Eric is in Chicago. Good morning, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
Yo, what's up, Sway? How you doing, brother?
I'm man, Eric, I woke up breathing. The rest is a bonus, brother.
Man, I feel you. Hey, I'm a big fan of you, brother. I'm a big fan. Anyways, my bad. I called in about Elijah, bro. I'm a big fan, bro. I've been a fan since Good Son. You know what I'm saying, with Culkin and all that.
Yeah. Awesome.
But, yeah, dude. My sister named her son after you.
Okay.
Because she was like so fucking infatuated with you growing up. It was like ridiculous.
Wow.
And,
I'm honored.
yeah,
I
she's
think.
a white. Yeah, she's a white chick. She only fucks with black dudes, but like you're the only
Oh.
Is the kid's name Frodo or Elijah?
Hey, to this day, bro, I swear to God. But yeah, man, like I said, I'm a huge fan, bro.
Thank you so much.
I had a question for you, though,
Okay.
brother. As a child actor coming up through the ranks, I mean, obviously your longevity's insane. You're a great actor, dude. I got mad love for you, but like my son wants to do it. Like he's a good-looking kid, and he's got the charisma. He got all of that. You know what I mean? He's 9 years old. He wants to get into that side of the business.
Eric, what's your question?
Yeah, I'm kind of hesitant to. I'm asking. I guess I'm asking. How would I go about that? In the right way.
Well, where do y'all live?
I live in Chicago.
Oh man. Well, there's obviously a great theater scene there. There's also Second City. I mean, there's a lot of resources in Chicago for performing arts and acting, theatrical and otherwise. So, look, I think when it comes to kids jumping into any realm that is that is sort of occupied by adults and sort of can be exposing, it's just good that there's a genuine interest and that it's not necessarily just coming from the parents.
Yeah.
That
Don't force your kid to act, Eric.
Yeah, I mean that happens a lot.
I'm hesitant to do it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? 'Cause
I get that.
I know he can do that because I got plugs here in
Hey
Chicago.
man,
you know what I'm
if
saying?
as long as that's coming from him and there's a deep enthusiasm for film and stage, and that's something that he wants to pursue, then I would support that.
Okay. Hey, Eric, you're a citizen, man.
And just be a good father and look out for the health and growth of your child.
Yes.
Absolutely. And feed them organic foods. All right, cool, man. Aunt Timpson is here, and also Elijah Wood. They're here to promote the film Come to Daddy. It's playing now in the Tribeca Film Festival. How can the public see it?
Well, they can get tickets. I think Tribeca, you can get tickets.
Yeah.
Isn't a Tribeca channel though online that people can view?
But you have to go to the theater if you want to watch this. It's playing today at the Regal Cinemas in Battery Park at 8:45. Tomorrow at 9:15 Village East Cinema, and next Friday at 9:45 at Regal Cinemas Battery Park again.
Nice.
Okay. And before you go, guys, we came up with a game, a quiz. Actually,
You guys always have good
we
games.
we do quick quizzes. All right. And here we go.
The ultimate trivia game.
Your favorite movie, your favorite album, your favorite whatever. This is the ultimate trivia game. Right now on Sway in the Morning.
You lose. Good day, sir.
All right, Elijah, you've done this a million times. You know how it works.
Ant's new to it. Look at his face.
Yeah,
He doesn't know what the hell is going on.
So you have a lifeline here. You guys can help each other with this. Now, I made it a little harder because you always do pretty good. I know you're a pretty horror master. Here are your prizes if you win an Evil Dead, Ash vs. Evil Dead vintage hat, and also a Freddy's Dead button.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
That
the
Freddy's
hat ain't shit, but all right.
That's cool. That's cool.
All right.
All right, here we go. What year was The Exorcist released?
73.
Oh.
Shit, damn. How do you know that so fast?
Are we competing?
No,
or-
you
y'all
help each
together.
other.
Y'all
Yeah.
Same team. That was a win for you, too.
Damn, shit. You finished the sentence. Ant was like,
Damn, I thought he was going to be whack.
okay, all right.
How many films has Stephen King directed?
1.
You are
Maximum
correct.
Overdrive.
What the fuck?
1986.
He's the real master.
Okay.
Should have made this.
Now, when you come back, we got something better for you.
all right,
I see
all
what's
right.
going on. I see what's
All
happening.
right.
Elijah ain't said shit
I
either.
know.
No, go.
I'll let my guy do it. All right, Wes Craven was inspired to make Nightmare on Elm Street from
An article in the LA Times.
and
It was about Thai children who were dying in their sleep.
you are correct. There were some other things too. I was going to give you some options,
no,
but I
what
mean,
were those?
you already. All right, so it was Stories of Asian Death Syndrome, which is what you're talking about.
Right.
A drunk man in a hat that was outside of his house as a kid.
Oh,
he
I
used to
didn't know
get
that.
bullied by a kid named Fred Krueger when he was a kid.
Ooh, I didn't know that either.
And the song Dreamweaver by Gary Wright.
Nice.
That's the
Nice.
scary thing.
Okay.
Okay,
But he still got the answer right.
Right,
I
that
know,
was a
yeah.
lot that
DB
you
wanna
I
did.
just gave like extra info for no reason.
Okay.
I liked it.
That's
All
very
right.
cool.
All right, one
True
more.
or false?
Okay.
John Carpenter. Okay, actually, you know what? You're gonna get that one.
Okay.
Which film had the lowest budget? Evil Dead or Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Man, forget
I was
it,
gonna
man.
go with that one too. You guys
Damn,
Take
man.
the fucking hat.
Take the hat, man. Take the pen. Listen, congratulations on a film well made.
So cool.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Very
guys.
interesting, man. Very fun to watch. Is unguessable. You will not know what's going to happen in the next scene.
I always bring you weird shit, don't I?
You do.
You have never, ever brought me anything in the realm of normalcy.
That's what I like.
Swear you have it, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, Elijah Wood, Ant Timpson, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Come to Daddy. Also, we want to thank DJ Vile for his guest mix today.
Yeah.
DJ Vile, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for having me.
All right, our Fire Friday cipher, we had producer Nico Brim. Give him a round of applause. Those two kids that came in here and spit bars, these rappers we had in here. One was 17.
Oh, wow.
From Oakland, my hometown, named Jay Walt. You can follow him at official.jwalt, JWALT. And TR3 from Queens, you can follow him at TR3 Official. And then Nico Brim as well. Tommy Davidson, which who also is here for the Tribeca Film Festival. They're going to be playing the season finale,
The 25th anniversary
series finale
of the finale of In Living Color, which is going to be tomorrow,
Oh my
April
God, amazing.
27th at 5 p.m. Tribeca Festival Hub. They're going to do a Q&A with the cast and some of the people that were involved.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's why Tommy was here. Tommy was so happy to see Elijah. He said, man, I just saw you. I just saw you. That was 2 years ago. Elijah was like, oh, my God. All right.